conspiracy against me, you know, because in the absence of the truth, bullshit will prevail. So as long as nobody out there spitting real, you know, you can come out with anything.
How do you listen to a whole album, pick a single, shoot a video, then don't know? Okay, I see what's really good. You're trying to eliminate the competition. You know, because at first you retire, you know, then get me off the label, now you're back rapping again. Okay.
The industry. Real niggas is dying to get in. The industry. Just to find they don't fit in.
Dame Dash is stirring the pot again, and this time he's coming straight for Jay-Z and music executive Lyor Cohen, accusing them of working together to bring down none other than DMX. Fans are fuming all over again, saying Jay talks a good game about uplifting the culture, but behind the scenes, it's a whole different story. Dame is not holding back. He's pulling the curtains wide open and dragging Jay and Lyor for allegedly sabotaging black artists to climb their way to the top.
Everybody told me Jay was corny and whack. Everybody told me not to f with him. And I did it, and look what—
And the name at the center of this storm, DMX. According to Dame, DMX knew what was going on. He saw the backdoor deals, the shady alliances, and he tried to call it out. But here's the messed up part. Nobody wanted to listen. It's not until it was way too late. Now, let's be real. Dame and Jay have been on opposite sides for years. People have called Dame bitter, petty, even obsessed with trying to take Jay-Z down. But if you ask Dame, he swears it's deeper than just a personal grudge. He's been saying this for years, but nobody really takes the time to break down what he's actually talking about. Dame claims this ain't just about Jay, it's about the powerful execs Jay chose to align himself with, especially people like Lyor Cohen, who Dame sees as making millions off of black culture, while at the same time twisting the image of that culture into something destructive. He claims these execs run the game like puppet masters, making profits from black artists' pain while pushing stereotypes that do real damage. And Dame is saying Jay-Z didn't just play along, he helped them run the whole scheme. DMX wasn't blind to what was going on. He saw it first, and he wasn't scared to speak on it either.
Out of the love I had for wanting to be a part of the industry is not there anymore.
As a man watching all this unfold, you gotta respect how bold X was. He called it out before most people even realized what was happening. Let me break it down for you. When Jay-Z slid into that president seat at Def Jam back in 2004, replacing Lyor Cohen, everything changed. That move gave Jay full control over the Rockefeller catalog and basically pushed Dame Dash and Biggs Burke out of their own empire. And for Dame, that wasn't just a business loss, it was a personal betrayal. He saw it as Jay switching up, throwing his day ones under the bus, just so he could play the industry's favorite puppet. And out of all the artists caught in the crossfire, Dame believed one of the biggest betrayals was what Jay did to DMX. Now, Jay never really owned up to it. In fact, when DMX passed away, Jay went on LeBron James's show talking like everything was cool between them. He claimed X was just super competitive and there was never any beef.
Competitive with me, I never met a human being more competitive with me, like ever, not even my big brother.
But let's keep it real. DMX told a whole different story. According to X, Jay was the one treating everything like a competition. DMX was already that dude, 5 back-to-back #1 albums, a whole movement behind him. But the second Jay stepped into that Def Jam office, things got messy. DMX said it straight on The Breakfast Club. Jay sabotaged him. Why? Because Jay had changed his mind about retirement and didn't want X standing in his way. That comeback Jay was plotting. He wanted the lane cleared and DMX was too much of a threat. So instead of standing beside him, Jay allegedly started putting up roadblocks, making X's moves harder and harder.
First you retire, you know, then get me off the label, now you're back rapping again. Okay.
But the real reason DMX didn't mess with Jay-Z like that, it wasn't just the competition, it was about who Jay was really connected to. X wasn't stupid. He peeped early that Jay was getting too cozy with the real shot callers, the ones who don't ever step in front of the camera, the powerful executives behind the scenes who move like ghosts. One name that kept popping up, Lyor Cohen. DMX had no problem speaking out against dudes like Lyor. He said straight up, they had too much power and were using it to control artists, not help them. And when he saw Jay-Z getting close with Lyor, that trust, gone, completely broken. Jay, though, he embraced that industry life from day one. He wasn't just working with Lior, he was praising him. In Jay's book, Decoded, he even called Lior his mentor. And listen to this quote Jay wrote. Lior Cohen, who I consider my mentor, once told me something he was told by a rabbi about the 8 degrees of giving in Judaism. The highest level is giving in a way that makes the receiver self-sufficient. Now, when you hear that and then compare it to all the shady business moves people say Jay and Lior pulled off, man, it hits different. Talking about selfless giving while folks like DMX were getting pushed out the way, that's wild. So who is Lior Cohen, really? The surface level info's all over his Wikipedia. Born in New York City to Israeli immigrants, been a music heavyweight for over 30 years. He started managing artists at Rush Productions, climbed up the Def Jam ladder, ran Warner Music Group, and then launched 300 Entertainment after he dipped out in 2012. But recently, he's been running things at YouTube as global head of music, a spot that gives him a whole different kind of power, and this is where folks start throwing around conspiracy theories. Some people actually believe Lior might be tied to intelligence agencies using hip-hop as a tool to shape narratives. Sounds wild, right? But it ain't just coming out of nowhere. Lior has been caught lying about his background multiple times, especially when it comes to his family history and where he really came from. And anytime somebody's story don't add up like that, people start asking questions. Now here's where things start getting real suspicious. Back in October 2023, Lior Cohen sat down for an interview, and the man straight up tripped over his own story. At first, when they asked him about his mother, he said she was just a regular housewife. Cool, right? But then, a few minutes later in that same interview, he let it slip that she actually worked for the Israeli government, and not just that, she helped him get a job at the National Bank of Israel. You see the pattern? Stuff like that is why Dame Dash keeps calling Lior a straight-up culture vulture, and honestly, it ain't hard to see why. Just look at how Lior handled himself on The Breakfast Club. He started talking about the opioid crisis, acting like he was so heartbroken over DMX and his addiction struggles. He even said it hurt to see X go through that.
Had a real bad drug problem, DMX.
I'm so sad.
But when Charlemagne pressed him and asked why he kept signing rappers who glorified drugs, especially during an opioid epidemic, Lior didn't even blink. He basically said, that's the business. What? So now it's cool to profit off addiction but cry crocodile tears when it gets real? Then Charlemagne brought up Dame Dash, calling him a culture vulture, and Lior got loud and dismissive like, I don't even know who Dame is. Oh, really?
Who's Dame Dash? You brought him up. I don't even know him. I don't even know him.
But to Dame, that just confirmed everything he's been saying. He clapped back quick on Instagram. Thanks for this, Lior Cohen, for proving my point. In true culture vulture form, they make money off of us and then try to erase our true history and act like the real ones never existed. He pays his bills at the expense of us. And here's where it gets real eerie. Dame says once he started calling Lior out publicly, the police started showing up in his life. He said things got weird real quick, and that only made the whispers louder about Lior possibly having some deep intelligence ties. Something about it just don't sit right. When a man speaks out and the cops pop up out of nowhere, that ain't no coincidence, bruh. Let's talk about one of the most disrespectful things Lior Cohen ever did to DMX, and it happened at the man's funeral. X's memorial went down in Brooklyn on April 25th, 2021. Big moment, a time for people to show love and pay real respect. And what did Lior do? He didn't even show up. Instead, he sent in a video message, and man, it was disgusting. In the clip, Lior talked about how nobody was surprised that DMX allegedly overdosed, and then had the nerve to call him a gremlin who crashed into a wall. Let that sink in. This was at a man's funeral. A black legend, a hip-hop icon, and this is what Jay-Z's so-called mentor had to say. It felt less like a tribute and more like a final jab, mocking a man who is no longer here to defend himself.
DMX, there's two people inside of him.
And this is who Jay-Z holds in such high regard. Man, no wonder DMX wanted nothing to do with that crowd. See, DMX was never afraid to speak the truth. While other artists played the game, X called it out for what it was. He spoke up about the shady dealings, the double standards, and how the industry would lift you up just to break you down. He even said he got blackballed because he wouldn't play their little games. He wasn't showing up to dinner parties with suits and execs. He wasn't fake. He kept it all the way real. He even warned us through his music. That track, The Industry, was basically a straight-up expose. X broke down how young artists walking full of hope and get chewed up by a system designed to take everything from them. And let's not ignore what else he said. DMX admitted the devil came to him multiple times, and he knew it was the devil because the offer always sounded sweet, but the terms were twisted, strings attached. That's some deep stuff right there.
Three conversations with the devil.
Three conversations with the devil. Why with the devil?
Well, to make a fair decision, I think you have to be aware of both sides.
Now back to Dame Dash. Yeah, people love to say he's stuck in the past, always bringing up Jay-Z, and to some extent, maybe they got a point. But Dame says, and he's not alone in this, that the bigger issue is how most artists are too afraid to speak out against Jay at all. Soon as someone says Jay's name in a negative light, the industry labels him washed, bitter, or jealous. That's what happened to DMX when he went on The Breakfast Club and called Jay out for sabotaging his album. Instead of hearing him out, folks just dismissed him. Said Jay was the better businessman, like that somehow made it all okay. But we're talking about more than business moves here. We're talking about morals. And a lot of people out here got the game twisted. But now that DMX is gone, everybody's switching up. Suddenly, folks are out here admitting that he was telling the truth all along. All those warnings, all those interviews people used to brush off, they're starting to hit different now. And that's exactly why a lot of fans are standing behind Dame Dash too. Yeah, he might be loud, and yeah, sometimes he comes off a little petty, but one thing about Dame, he's not scared to speak his mind, especially when it comes to Jay-Z. One fan said it best, that's always been the pattern with Dame. Every time he answers a question about Jay, people flood the comments saying, why is he always talking about Jay? And it's facts. Especially on Twitter, they stay dragging Dame like he's the bitter one, when really, he's just the only one bold enough to say what others are whispering in private. Another fan dropped a real one too. I miss DMX. He kept it 100 at all times. Everything he said about these lames in the industry is coming out now like a flood that can't be stopped. He'd be cooking these weirdos if he was still here. Rest in power. X. Real recognize real. But I want to know what you think. Is Dame Dash going too far by always calling out Jay-Z? Or do we need someone like him? Someone who doesn't bite their tongue no matter how powerful the person they're calling out is? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading all of them. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell so you don't miss the next deep dive. And I'll catch you in the next one.